Good evening. Isn't this the coolest event ever? I'm so excited about it. My name is Luis Figueroa. I serve as the chair of the LBJ Future Forum. And on behalf of the Future Forum, thank you so much for joining us this evening. For those of you unfamiliar, the Future Forum advances the conversation about what's possible through policy. It's an initiative of the LBJ Presidential Library and Foundation. The Future Forum facilitates community events to inspire a higher level of political discourse in Austin. It's following LBJ's favorite biblical directive to come, let us reason together. Our programming aims to thoughtfully bridge the many diverse perspectives inherent in our regional political challenges. Curated programming includes panel discussions, town halls, Q&As with community leaders, and much more, and it's all free and open to the public. The next event is a members-only holiday reception at the Equipment Room on the evening of December 9th. Future Forum is a member-supported organization, and this mission aligns with their value. I encourage you and humbly ask you to join us as a member tonight by visiting our membership table, which can be found on the bottom floor. By becoming a member, means select networking and social events, in addition to special access to speakers, exhibits, and more at the LBJ Library. Membership in the Future Forum starts at $35 a year and is an excellent way to engage with the fellow doers and builders in our community. So on to tonight's event. It's inspired by the LBJ's Library's new exhibit, Hip Hop America, the Mixtape Exhibit. Curated by the GRAMMY Museum, the exhibit celebrates hip hop's rise from street culture to the global stage, shaping music, fashion, business, and activism, while spotlighting themes that echo President Johnson's legacy, social justice, civic engagement, and the fight for equality. Tonight, we'll talk about the arts that continue to inspire activism, policy conversations, and grassroots engagement. To kick off our discussion, please allow me to introduce tonight's moderator. Bavu Blakes is a scholar, Emcee, and the co-founder of Hip Hop Grew Up. He is a middle school humanities instructor who also conducts keynote speeches, interactive learning sessions, and multimedia projects. Originally moving to Austin for journalism school, Bavu ascended to regional rap celebrity, becoming the first MC in town to have a song added to daytime commercial radio. He has appeared on 21 vinyl records and has released studio collaborations with producers including Adrian Caseda, Gary Clark, and Paul Wall. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our panel.
All right, let's not put the cart before the horse. There's an order to the ops that the corpse can't endorse yet. Let the collective supernature take its whole course, step by step. Barbara Jordan called it soul force. So if I can't change the world, I can change mine, or we can change minds, multiply in trying times. Instead of watching time fly, let's keep this circle tight in the sweet by and by. We're gonna have a good conversation tonight. We're gonna have a good conversation tonight. I don't know all of you personally. I don't know your culture, your beliefs, your behaviors, but I do know that Toni Morrison has something to tell us tonight. This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no room for fear. We speak, we write. That is how civilizations heal. So, we're gonna have a real fun conversation. We're sitting in the LBJ Library and I'm thinking about how art and creativity persuaded, pushed LBJ himself to do some things that led to significant social change. There was a lot of creativity that helped to, persuade him. So I want to introduce a few panelists because we have a mighty, mighty, mighty group here. Start with Mr. J. Rawls. Fun fact, his vinyl is on my turntable in my living room as we speak. So decades of work in hip hop as well as education, now building a prestigious, I said it, hip hop studies program at The Ohio State University. He's the assistant professor of black music there, black music history.
Nope, assistant professor of hip hop.
Assistant professor.
Think about that.
I should just go with what I know.
Just go with
instead of looking at this paper. So let me go with what I know. So pretty soon somebody will be able to go up there and not only get a degree in hip hop studies, but straight up major in it.
That's the goal.
So that's the goal. This is the pioneer. This is the trailblazer. This is the TED Talk I quote. and so, but he's also an amazing producer with artists like Black Star. More recently, Nico is. More recently, Coast Contra. Let me just say what I know, right?
Say what you know.
A dynamic producer, but a dynamic educator all the same. And what I love is I'm somebody who likes to deliberately walk in this intersection, and this is one of the leaders in the intersection that I frequent the most, which is hip hop and education, and then just these unseen forces that allow all these things to be. So I celebrate that you're here, brother. Hip hop studies at The Ohio State University. That should cover everything in your mind. Give it up for Rawls, Jason Rawls. Dr. Jason Rawls. And then we have Gina Chavez. Now, Latin Grammy nominee, current president of the recording chapter here in Austin. Co-founder with her wife of a college fund she established for young women in Latin America. Let's do some numbers here. 1.4 million views on the NPR Tiny Desk. 60 minutes of a PBS special. 16 Austin Music Awards. 2015 Musician of the Year, 2019 Best Female Vocals. We're talking to Austin icon, 12 countries toured. That's probably increased since this was printed, right?
Yeah.
14?
Yeah.
14, 15?
14.
14, yeah. 14 countries. 14, I knew it. And not only in Latin America, but also in the Middle East, also in Central Asia. Been a cultural ambassador in the State Department for the U.S. and celebrated Pride in the nation of Mongolia. So, as you can see, these panelists know a thing or two about how art can be impactful, how it can lead to social change, how it can lead to curricular change, how it can lead to paradigm shifting. And I'm sure that's going to happen tonight. So give it up for Gina Chavez. And then finally, a powerful, humble soul. After we all checked in, send me a follow-up email. How did I do? How did you do? Do you know what you've done?
Right.
I don't remember.
I walked by the Pan American Rec on Sunday morning. We did a 10-mile urban downtownish hike, Pedernales Trailhead, all the way to Zilker and back. You have work there. There are many, many murals that you've done that have been maintained and restored with support from the city. He had the celebration of his work at the Mexican American Cultural Center. He's traveled and educated during wartime. You've taught at the university level more years than I've taught at the K-12 level.
12?
Oh,
Well,
so
well,
not more.
16,
Not quite.
16.
16, more. There we go. See, I got to go with what I know.
Go with what you know.
Go with what you know. Leave the paper alone. Renowned Austin muralist, still an educator. On paper, former educator, but still very much an educator. Keep in mind, education is way more important than school. So wherever he is, he's an educator. Formal, informal. 9 of his murals have been torn down, but the one that stands the test of time is the one on that hillside stage that I just saw on Sunday morning. I know he's going to add a lot of force and spirit and depth to the conversation. This is none other than Raúl Valdez, all the way to my left, your right. So, welcome to the Future Forum. But first, it's important to kind of, just let people warm up a bit. And what I wanted to ask each of you about, in no particular order, is when have you seen art and or creativity change hearts, change minds, change legislation? When has art been so impactful that true social change is an effect of that art and creativity?
All right, I'll go first. And I'm ready to get my degree in hip hop, so let's go.
I know a guy.
Yeah. I guess the first thing that came to mind, so I've been really fortunate to be an ambassador for the US State Department, a cultural ambassador, where essentially I've been invited to go to other countries to perform music, to collaborate with artists who are there, to meet with, a lot of times our embassies, what they're doing is they're building relationships with organizations and people who live in those communities. And so as a cultural ambassador, I get to come in and kind of immediately be dropped into a conversation or a show or a collaboration. And the moment, so I'm trying to tell the short version of this story. I got invited to go to Uzbekistan, which, let's be real, when I got invited, I was like, where is Uzbekistan? So I get invited to go to Uzbekistan. And it's a country where it's illegal to be gay, and I'm a queer person. I'm married, and when I've gone over to these countries, I'm not there to change policy. I'm there to make connection, right? I'm there to fortify the relationships that have been built. I'm there to use music as a tool for connection. And so we have this incredible time. We sing a song in Uzbek. We become overnight famous in Uzbekistan. People are literally throwing their children on our moving bus. It was like our version of the Beatles. I was like, this is crazy. People would stop us and they'd have like a video of us singing on their phones, and they're like, Nazar, Nazar. And like, that was the song that we sang, and it was wild. And so obviously just like immediate connection with people because we had sung a song in their language, and it meant so much to them. And fast forward, the same person who had invited me from the embassy over there was now in, 4 years later, he invites me, and it's 2020. And he says, Gina, would you put up a pride post for the embassy in Uzbekistan? And I was like, I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it, are you sure? And he was like, I've been waiting 4 years for this. Or he's like, I've been waiting years for this. And so I put up this post. I sing the song that we had sang. I say a few words in Uzbek, and I wish everybody a happy Pride. And I say, you might remember me from this time, but what you might not know is that I have a wife, and I'm gay. And I got out my pride flag, and I just said, we love you no matter who you are. We love who you love. Happy Pride. And we broke the internet in Uzbekistan. And the cool thing about it was that the embassy took the brunt of, it was on their page. And so they took the brunt of these awful, really awful comments and, people coming at them. But people came to me in my DMs and were sharing incredible stories of, I got out, but my lover is still there. My mom just came out to me as gay. What do I say to her? I know my friend who was killed for being gay. All kinds of stuff was coming to me on DMs, basically saying, thank you. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for doing something. And so the cool part about it was that this particular person at the State Department, he was using the platform that is America, what the flag stands for, to actually make a change in a country where that's not the norm. Because we are America, and he could do that. Because their Facebook page, similar to embassy property, is American ground. And so it really just taught me the power of the ideals of America. And he was also the one who later invited me to Mongolia to celebrate Pride in a new democracy. So, yeah.
Raúl, would you like to go? Go ahead. Yeah, I should have went first. For me, I've been an educator for about 24 years, 23, something like that. I started teaching 4th and 5th grade. And you're going to know this story a little bit. But as an educator, 4th and 5th graders, I'm always thinking of the young people. And I thought that what I did, because I was a hip hop artist, I'm a producer and a DJ. So I'm traveling all over the world, touring with like a Talib Kweli or somebody like that, and we're doing music. And then on Sunday, I get back home, and then Monday morning, I'm in my shirt and tie, and I'm like, hello, class, time for class, that. So I thought it'd be a distraction, right? Because when you think of young people, it's like, they won't be able to handle that. They'll be asking about hip hop all the time. They won't want to learn, right? And so I kept it hidden. And the thing about young people that I love is you can't get anything past them. Those kids would look at me and they'd be like, you know what, Mr. Rawls, you hiding something. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like checking myself, like what? And they eventually pulled it out of me, and I started to be my authentic self around them. And we started talking about hip hop music and culture. And we would compare, and this is around the time with clips and grinding, right? So it was like just that time in hip hop, and they would come in, they'd have a new dance. There was no TikTok or anything like that. They just would make the dances up, 4th, 5th, 6th graders. And, we'd be there talking hip hop, and they may say, well, you should listen to this artist. And I'm like, okay, he's nice. Check this artist out. Check out Rakim. And then they're like, oh, okay, he's all right for an old man, right? And then, and we're having these conversations, and I'm like, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to compare and contrast Rakim and Malice from Clips. And they're like, oh, that's nothing. And as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. You guys have state tests here in Texas, right? Oh, yeah. So do we. And one of the things, right? One of the things on that is like comparing and contrasting, right? Homonyms, adverbs. So I start using the hip hop to help them understand what they needed to learn for the test, because they were more interested in the things that interested them. Right? You guys remember when you were in school and you had the problems like, okay, the bus leaves the train station, or the train leaves the bus station at 6, and how long does it take, and when will it? Nobody wants to talk about that. That doesn't excite me. And so once I realized that I could use the culture to connect with my students, I realized the power of not only art, but culture in general, the power of authenticity, the power of letting me be who I am, right, as an educator, but letting these students be who they are, right? And what I found was some students weren't into hip hop. Some of them might have liked skateboarding or, I don't know, anime or whatever it was. But we had conversations and I let them express themselves. And that was a very powerful lesson for me. So when you asked that question, it kind of made me think of the importance of culture and authenticity.
Got it.
Who else is there? Anybody else? Well, I'm going to just go local right now, but I have traveled the world. I've done the same thing I do here everywhere else. But I decided in 1974, I was going to do real public art. And so I said, I'm going to just go ahead and come up with, first of all, I had a site. I had a wall somebody was offering me. And I said, I'm going to go knock on doors and talk to the people in this neighborhood and see who I can gather and get their opinions and see what they want to paint. I'm going to do an artwork, but it's going to be ours, And anyway, so I did. I got a bunch of people. Before I knew it, I had like 300 or 400 people that had worked on this piece. This was one of the first ones I ever made that way, and so we accomplished that. And I learned that many years later, that piece would be destroyed. And when it was, there was a couple of hundred people there protesting and trying to keep it from getting destroyed. And so I realized, you know what? No, the media was asking me, hey, can we interview you? Because I hear that's your mural. And I said, no, that's not my mural. listen to what the people are chanting. They're saying, you can't destroy our mural, not mine. It's all of us. Interview them. So anyway, I turned it around on the media and told them, go and talk to all the people there, man, because see what they're saying. It's theirs. And so anyway, that's the first time I realized that this thing worked. And I've been doing that for about 50 years. And I've done it in Nicaragua and El Salvador. I also play music, by the way. And that works too. I've played in all kinds of places. And believe it or not, the largest audience I had to play, because I was playing with the guerrillas in the mountains, and then we'd visit with the army, and we tried to talk to both sides so we wouldn't get in trouble, right? So we had to talk to the military there, but then we went up in the mountains, worked with the guerrillas up there, and so we'd march up in I'm talking the boonies, right, where people would welcome you, and they'd say, well, hold on, we're going to get the kids to go and grind and make some corn so we can make you some tortillas and beans so you can have food. They didn't have anything, but they offered all they had, that little bit they had. So anyway, that's, so doing that and singing songs together, they invited me to go play in the big celebration they had the biggest demonstration I've ever seen. It's about over 20,000 people or so, and in San Salvador, at the capital. Things have changed there, by the way, a lot. They didn't really. Never mind. I don't want to get into that. It's kind of a sad story, man. But anyway, it was. Anyway, people were. I mean, when I was grabbed by the shirt and like I said, man, like the Beatles or like Hendrix or something. I remember I saw Hendrix and met Hendrix, and they got him like that once. I said, they were doing that to me, and I said, man, what's going on here? But the thing is that art, music, whatever, it connects, and if you do it the right way, and if you do it sincerely and do it for people, and they know you're doing it for them, and it's not, because anyway, it's something that I continue to do till this day. I've never changed much, hardly at all. I always involve people. I get them, and I convince them, that by just the actions, that it's theirs. It's our stuff here. So anyway, that's one of the big satisfactions I've ever had. Because I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do, hey, look at him. He can paint, or he can sing, or he can do this or that. No, we can. And so anyway, that's it's been working for me so far.
Thank you. Malcolm X has a word for us now. I paraphrase, but he says that illness becomes wellness by switching I to we. So in that first round of answers, I heard using their language and your authenticity is given this shared or collective ownership of a thing, to where people feel represented, seen, heard for sure. And once they're involved, it's not just your art, it's their art.
Beautiful.
That first round, I'm in the right place. I
was wondering about myself here.
I know. You do
What
that.
am I doing here?
It's hilarious how you do
Thank you.
that. That's hilarious to me. I told y'all he was like that, right? Did I do okay?
Yeah.
What?
You're the OG.
No, I thought I was insulting somebody or something.
So,
Right.
what current issues could you see some artists addressing in a meaningful way? Y'all like that one? Y'all like that?
For that.
They like that one.
Yeah.
We have time for it.
That's a lot.
I just want to see what's in your head. What type of what issues could you see artists addressing and impacting, maybe more than they or we have to this point?
Well, I'd like to interject, like, something that I've been, as a musician, and maybe similar to how you feel, Raúl, is like this idea that for a lot of my life, I've been like, why can I sing? Like, what am I adding to the world? Like, so many other people, do this better than I do, or better singers, or better songwriters. Like, it's so easy to get into that space, right? And it's like I think I finally, figured out the answer, and it's kind of a non-answer. It's like the idea that's, I think we all have something to learn on this journey, and the vehicle that we're in is part of the journey. And this vehicle that I'm in is good at music. And so it's like maybe as simple as that. That's part of my journey on this, on this earth and this body. And the thing I wanted to interject, though, is that the super powerful thing I think about all artistic forms, but specifically from my viewpoint at music, is the idea that every single one of us is music. If the drummer in your chest stops beating, you probably wouldn't be here anymore. There's a reason that when things are hard or great, or we're grieving, or we're excited and we're celebrating, we turn to music. There's a reason for that. The human voice, no one has your voice. We step outside and we don't judge the song of the birds on if it's 3.5 minutes and if it's on Spotify and has 100 million views, Right. And so I think, for me, I guess the point I'm getting at is that we're all artists. And this is the time now where, sure, we can sit up here as a panel and talk about our experiences, but quite honestly, I think we're in new times. I think all the playbooks that we've been working out of ain't it. And it's gonna take all of us using our voices in the way that we feel moved in that particular day, stepping into maybe something you've never been to before, talking to somebody in a way you've never talked to before. And all of that can be art in the way that we just move throughout our communities. It doesn't necessarily have to look like a 30-second TikTok viral thing,
Wow. I guess we'll keep it the same order. I think for me, when I think of art and I think of art changing the world, education, because for me, hip hop and education, those are my two passions. So I always think of everything in those terms. But I think it's important to share stories. Like for me, what I learned as a teacher from my 5th grade students, did y'all hear that? I learned from my students, first of all, and that's something we've got to change, right? Because teachers walk in thinking they are the keepers of the knowledge, and the kids are just a kid, and you just shut up, sit down, listen. And it's like, what I learned from my students was just how to be my authentic self. And I learned that when I did that, they were able to learn from me. They could relate to what I was going through and that kind of thing. I think that's what we miss as neighbors. I don't think I need to tell you guys about how the politics and the divisiveness of this country right now. I think my brother Paz from De La Soul said it best. He said, neighborhoods are just hoods because nobody's neighbors. Think about what that's saying. You acting like you in the hood because we're not being neighbor. We take out the neighbor. Let's be neighbors. And my kids, my students taught me that. My babies taught me that. And I think if I could see art change the world, I'd like to see us start listening to the babies and start sharing stories.
Hey, man, this situation here now, this social reality, is driving me nuts. It's crazy. It's so divisive and everything else. But we have unity with well, I do with a lot of people. But there's all that, the situation, this whole thing, man, they're going in the wrong direction. I used to ask people for many years now, do you know what fascism is? That's what I was talking the other day. And he said, well, yeah, it's when and all that, when you have a dictator, when you have this and that and everything else. Mussolini said it real clearly, he defined it and simplified it and said it was corporatism. And that's exactly what we are going for. We're going to be run by the corporate, instead of voting for people, for having a say. We're not going to matter anymore because there's going to be they're going to privatize everything. That's my concern. They're closing schools instead of funding them. I don't know who's keeping the money in the state, but they're not giving it to the schools because they're closing 13 schools just now again. They just closed a bunch not too long ago, last year or something. And it's just ridiculous, man. They can fund education. They don't want to fund education. That's exactly what they don't want to do. They want to keep us stupid. They want to keep us, subservient. Everything is by design. It's not like an accident that's happening, and it's happening on a big scale. It's international. They're giving money to Argentina. Israel has free health care, and we don't. And we're paying for that. And we're
Bombs.
We're paying for plenty of bombs, and we're fighting everywhere. I wish I had that I had a paper with Smedley Butler's quote, Smedley Butler, general from 1914, where he freed all these, or it made way for all these corporations to get into Mexico, well, you name it, in Central America, all those countries. And it's a beautiful quote, by the way. And look it up. I think the biggest racket is war, or something like that. War is a Racket by Smedley Butler. But anyway, that's what we have, and it's still going on now. It's a big old racket. All these wars. Why are we fighting them? Well, Venezuela has oil. They have gold. They have silver. They have all these other rare earth minerals and stuff. And so anyway, that's the only reason. And they're killing people for no reason at all, because they're fishing out in the ocean, or something. Because it's no proof, no nothing, just murder. And we're just sitting here looking at it, and that's what can art do to raise a little more conscience for people to actually act and vote differently, or something at least, This is serious stuff, this, and art has a place for in this, We have to act somehow. Oh, by the way, I heard about this Mayan rapper does hip hop. He's what is Pat? No, wait a minute. Pat. What was it? What was that guy's name? I forgot. Anyway, but he sings in Mayan, man. So hip hop's everywhere now.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. I couldn't believe it, man. This guy was singing, rapping in Mayan. Anyway, those are my concerns, and I think that, whatever we can do to raise a little more conscience as far as that goes, because I don't think we need to be putting up with people just doing the stupid things that they're doing, and us not act. you know, we need to move, we need to do something, and I'm not comfortable without it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, there's music in us, and we use our voices, we share stories, we're faced with education, at least in the formal sense, being defunded locally. Shout out to Austin ISD. And then somebody's approaching me talking about, you know, for the first time in 35 years, there's no hip hop on the Billboard Top 40. And I'm like, so? I don't care. I think it's a good thing. What took my brain there was when, you know, just a combination of what y'all spoke about, because it's almost like the context of where, at least in the master narrative, the context of what brought hip hop culture out in the first place, right? We need to use our voices. We need to share our stories. Somebody who's not for me is never going to correctly tell my story, right? Ancient Africans have a proverb for us tonight. Till the lion writes history, the hunter will be the hero. So I'm hearing stories that only y'all would tell. And what I'm wondering is, because that was a lot, but y'all are sending me a lot of places. How do you balance, for lack of a better description, commercial interests with things that just flat out need to be done? Because rarely does art create social change, at least in my mind, based on commercial interests. These are movements that happen from a grassroots level, from a community level, from a streets level, where things happen because they need to happen, not because somebody thinks that they're going to come up off of it. So I want to know your ideas about the balance between art as commerce, which is very important, right, versus art for social change. Any tensions that you can think about between those two?
Tons.
I'll stop there.
I mean, when it comes to hip hop, that's been a tension since, you know, early on, right? And you, for those of us who remember, I'm gonna say his name, but you already know. Calm down. P. Diddy, Puffy, right? Sean, when he came with, you know, what we call the shiny suit, the Jiggy era, right? This idea of hip hop music, and I'm talking from a standpoint of hip hop music, when it really became just, I mean, $1 billion business. And today, you know, like I look at young people, they don't know anything other than hip. That's all they know. It's always been here. And so they kind of take it for granted. It's like, you know, it's here, it's what it is, and all the rappers are rich, right? But we remember a day when that wasn't necessarily the case. I think there's always going to be that fine line between creating art for social change, for yourself, for art's sake, versus creating it to make money. Personally, when I create, I just create for myself. That might be why I'm not on the top 40. And guess what? I don't even care, because I feel good about the music that's out there, and it's for me. It helps me get through these tough times, right? When I'm able to create. So, but I do understand, I have enough friends in the industry to understand what it means to have to create to survive. I have to create music to get a paycheck. And that is a different struggle. I haven't quite figured that out yet. That is, I just have to acknowledge that it's there. Mm-hmm. You know, this idea of people do both. Can you do both? Yes. I mean, I do both. And thankfully, people like the music I make, so I'm able to, you know, sell that. But I'm not like at shiny suit status, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this is a big topic. Well, and I think, so for me, I'm kind of in this interesting place in my career where I've, early Gina at UT, I was actually a journalism major also. So, at UT, I started writing music. It was all just fun. I was like filling up coffee shops, playing for free, and people were like, when are you gonna put out an album? And I was like, oh, is that what I do? Okay, I didn't enter it being like, I want to be a musician and have my name be on the things and like whatever. And so I've always been a little like slow on that side. And then there was kind of a turning point where I was like, all right, I'm doing this, I'm gonna like do music full time, get a part-time job thing. Anyway, the whole point of this is that I'm kind of on the other side of that. And I'm realizing, as with everything, there's a cost, right? And so, like in a financial sense, I made smart decisions in that section of time. But the cost of it that I am now kind of like digging out of is that I kind of lost the love of what I started with. I lost my ability to trust myself as a creative. I lost the excitement for creating music. And I didn't really realize that until I finally quit my day job. I had built a music career and I had 2 jobs in communications for 20 years. And so it's only recently that I'm realizing, I'm like, oh, like I'm seeing the cost of that and I'm experiencing it in a bodily way. And now that I'm kind of digging out of that, there's this part of me that's like, music is not meant to be a commodity. Just like I said, you walk outside and you hear birds singing and it betters your life. And you don't have to pay for it. It's not, like when we make things a commodity, I do think it cheapens it. And I think what we're experiencing on a structural, institutional, democratic, worldwide level is we are watching our institutions that have been failing us all of this time fail us in a big way and fail more people in a big way. And so I don't know the answer, because there's also a part of me that's like, if you're gonna hire me to play a nonprofit banquet and you're gonna spend XYZ on the catering and the seats and all the things, I'm not playing for free. You know what I mean? So there is like a push and pull about how do you operate within a world. It's like, I did quit my day job. I do have to make money on this. And so it's like, it's a tough choice. But I do think that having to make that decision over and over and over and over and over again does something to what it means to be an artist, to be music.
Wow.
Well, this is my least favorite question here, or whatever it is. I never try to make money. I don't make much money. I learned how to write proposals. I was going to school on the GI Bill, and I had time enough to go and work with kids and to do all that stuff, and for no money at all, or less, and. So I got used to it, all of a sudden here, all these things are happening, and I have a lot of happy kids of all ages, by the way, even some elderlies at the time, and all kinds of ages, people would come over and want to be part of it, and it was just so beautiful. I didn't even think about money. And the people started saying, hey, you can write a proposal, man, and all that. So I started learning how to write proposals, and I'd make a little, $3,000 for a whole, 2 months work, that's not too bad. But the money went all, supplies and all that stuff. I still didn't make any money. But luckily, my wife got a teaching job, so she helped me a lot. But
Because that's where the money's
As
at.
they always do.
That's where the money's at.
But don't
teaching.
Don't tell her I said that. Don't tell her I said that. But anyway, so that helped for a while. But then after a while, you know, those proposals started working out pretty good, and started making enough to pay bills and that kind of stuff. Now it gets a little bit better. Nowadays, I get even offered. I got money last year that I didn't even write a proposal for, you know. And it was an award from the city of Austin. Thank you very much. But anyway, that's all, you know, in the works still. You know, I haven't done that project yet. But anyway, it's so anyway, yeah, I've got a couple of, you know, generous awards, but. Most of the time, I didn't even, you know, not interested in making money except, you know, producing something.
I just had this thought, like, you know, art as a, you know, I truly believe that how we're going to, whether democracy, you know, actually lasts and we can change it, or it crumbles to the ground and we build something out of the goo. You know, I think either way, the thing that's going to get us there is it's community. And so I love, like, everything you're talking about is really about community, and it just made me think of a community garden. And to me, I'm like, I think that's art. Like, art needs to be a community garden. You know, that when you go to the community garden, you're not thinking about getting money or making money off your stuff. Like, you're involved in something that's going to help feed people and grow people. And I think art is the same way. It feeds us. You know, it feeds our souls in the way that food feeds our bellies. And yeah, so I mean, then that's been your life's work. You know,
I've been lucky too that people call me and offer me, you know, a couple of $1,000s or something just to go talk somewhere, which is what? Go talk? What do you want me to say? You know, I mean, I'll take it, you know, but.
I understand.
well, I'll take it.
So, we're making choices. Continual choices. These are calculated decisions. And in many cases, there's a veteran's grace that happens, where because of the amount of time that you've put in, purely for the purpose of it, purely for the calling of it, for the embodiment of art's sake, eventually these royalties just start kind of popping up, which is a beautiful thing. I think a lot of people would struggle with that in 2025 to say that, you know, I'm going to set out to be an artist for art's sake. But a lot of people wouldn't, and that's why we're here, because there has always been art that produces social change. My final question for you is a short answer question. I don't do that. If you don't do that, you can always, what do they say, recuse yourself? You can pass. A round of shout outs, if you will, to an exemplary artist, past, present, who absolutely made a deep social impact. Any type of artist who absolutely made a deep social impact. Who would you like to shout out this evening before we move to Q&A, and why?
Short answer, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you've met Jimi Hendrix, so you got to.
I'll keep it hip hop.
Please do.
I'm gonna shout out Chuck D.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was your person.
Yes.
My bad.
I'm not on the panel.
But Chuck, just because I've been able to do music and gotten to know him and be able to have conversations, I'm just like, wow. Like, because what you have to understand is, at a time of hip hop when it was, you know, mostly party songs or whatever, or really 86, 87, 88 was mostly I'm bad.
Wait. Who's Chuck D?
Chuck D is the front the front man, the rapper of the group Public Enemy.
Public Enemy, Def Jam, late 80s.
Yes, 87 is when they came
To
out.
present. Yep.
To present, right? And so, thank you. But I say that because Chuck D is how I learned about Malcolm X, about Nat Turner, about Marcus Garvey. They didn't talk about any of those names in school.
Supporter of Chesimard.
Chesimard. We
That's
were like,
Assata
who is
Shakur.
Chess? We had to go look that.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that you were listening to some music and you were bumping your head, and then you had to go get young people listen closely. An encyclopedia. That's a book that we used to have to. And let me say another one. Atlas. Right? But you had to go get, like, open the encyclopedia and say who, and it was just amazing. And so, yeah, that's just one. There's so many, but that's one, and I'll let y'all.
Shout out to Chuck D.
Yeah.
Of Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
So the first person that came to mind was, and I'm not steeped in his music, was Kendrick Lamar and his, I mean, talking about kind of like your last question, the idea of like commerce and art. And for somebody that is on a national scale, like I'm specifically thinking of his Super Bowl performance, and like the depth, the layers, like you could watch it on a surface level. The fact that Donald Trump was in the audience, like all of it, I'm just like, like that is incredible. And I've watched it so many times and like, because I'm like, man, there is so much to learn. It's like you're having to study, right? Why did he put it, what was the game, the game set up and all this other stuff. I was just like, man, so cool. And the other person that comes to mind immediately is Mercedes Sosa. And so that's a singer out of from Argentina who is no longer with us. But I sing a song of that she had made famous called Todo Cambia. It was written by a man named Julio Neuhauser from Chile. And she was the one who made that song famous. And, to me, as kind of like a very real art as social change, Todo Cambia it means everything changes. And yeah, and it's a song that became the voice of the Argentine people when its government was disappearing upwards of 70,000 of its own people. And so it became, she became a vessel for the voice of Argentina. And that song was used in other movements throughout Central and South America. And as I've sung that song, I've had people come up to me and say, it's hard for me to hear that song because I know people who were killed for singing it. And it will never cease to amaze me, the idea that all of us singing in unison together makes governments with tanks and guns and bombs so scared. And all you need is what you got.
I would second the motion on Mercedes Sosa for sure, but how about Victor Jara?
Yes.
I would go with Victor Jara, who was actually murdered playing music, singing a song. And so anyway, that's in Chile during our sponsorship of overthrow. We overthrew put Pinochet in, but we took Allende out and legally elected and all that stuff. But here we go again, take somebody out. And then, so anyway, Victor Jara was killed and he wouldn't stop playing. So they chopped his hands off, and it was in a stadium where everybody was being held. And so anyway, and he wouldn't stop, So that's one of the inspirational stories, which, I don't know, it's one of those tragic inspirational stories, but anyway, he would be that example that I would definitely admire.
Okay. So,
Wait, who's yours?
me?
Yeah.
I'm on the panel now?
No,
Yes,
no.
you are.
You've been voted on.
Do I have to expound and explain, or can I just shout somebody out?
You do you.
I want to shout out Nina Simone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then I want to drop the mic
Fair enough.
because it's time for the Q&A.
Let's do it.
And there has to be a better question that I could have asked. So now y'all can show me up. There's a mic. There's a mic right over here to your right. And we want to open the floor for any questions that you have for our esteemed, beloved panelists, honored guests, and everybody else here. It's your time.
Testing. Oh, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's so good to see you all. And it's really been great to hear all these different perspectives. The arts. But we did talk a lot of, and I'm Latanya Peace, by the way. Hi, everybody. I live in Austin, Texas. And I have a question. Really, it is a question. But you all talked a lot about the youth tonight. And I just think about, being in this place. And there's so much history here. And I just love coming here, especially going to the museum and reminded of so many things that my ancestors experienced so I could have the life that I do. And so I'm just thinking about the next 60 years. So I know some of you are educators. So what advice would you give to those of us who interact with young people or were mentors to young people about the times that we're experiencing? Because in a lot of ways, it does mirror what people experienced 60 years ago. It's just different. And so I think it's kind of sobering actually to be here and having this kind of conversation with all the things that are happening. But what advice would you give to those of us who interact with young people and who do things to inspire the next generation about how they can be bold and courageous for the next generation in 60 years?
I got that question. Mm-hmm. She showed you up.
I love it.
all yours.
Oh man, I'll keep it quick and simple. That you showed him up. Great question.
I love it. Not only did she show me up, she described how I spend my days. Like,
Right.
that was me all day today.
Because as educators,
But I'm not on the panel.
that's what you. Well, I'll help because we're
Yeah,
educators.
yes,
But that's what you think about, right? Because when those students come into your classroom, they're your babies. Right. And so you're looking at them and you're looking at the future, and then you look at the news and you're like, oh, this is where we are. Right. And so it's like, for me, I think the most important thing is being honest with them, telling them, first of all, explaining to them what's going on, as much as you can. Right. But being honest and telling them, and maybe y'all know, maybe I'm lost, but telling them, I don't know, right? Because we don't really know where this is going. But like you said, history repeats itself. So we can look at the past and see everything that is held in this museum. And I haven't even got to go through it yet, but I know LBJ's story, right? And so I know like some of the nuances, the same freedoms that were fought for, by Martin Luther King and Andrew Young and some of these people, we're going back, we're reverting. So we can still have those conversations with our young people. I think honestly, but we have to be honest with them and just like not sugarcoat. Here's what's going on that I can understand and take questions from them.
Can I interject something for a second?
Interject.
Just because, again, this is
What you do.
today. I teach world cultures. So I teach new middle school students social studies all day. So I'm like, what a question. Yeah. And I just have a couple sentences. Just number one, okay, y'all are going to inherit the world. And we see the patterns. And if it doesn't repeat itself, one of my elders says, it certainly rhymes, right? History. And what's going to be different when you inherit it? I feel like sometimes using question marks is a lot more effective than using exclamation points. And so once we see patterns and they can name them, like today was like, what happened to the indigenous people of Oceania and Australia? That's what we studied in 6th grade today. It was powerful. But once they start seeing the patterns, you know, we live in an era that in my class is called Europeans with Guns. That's the name of the last 500 years. That's the current era.
Word.
A 500-year era called, you heard the name. So you're going to inherit the world. What's going to be different? Those questions, they summon who they believe they are and try to answer those questions naturally because they're hearing the questions over and over again in the context of patterns they observe. I don't know if that helps, but I just want to share it because you called me out because that's how I spend my day. Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say was kind of what you had talked about, Professor Rawls. The idea of like being yourself, you know, and I feel like even just asking that question tells me that you probably are yourself. And, you know, when I'm in front of fans, a lot of times what I tell people kind of at the end of my set is like, I believe we're all light. And, you know, and just like fish don't know they're swimming and birds don't know they're flying, like we don't know we're shining. And what would it look like if we all could step into our own light? You know, because when you truly shine, it doesn't dim other people. It lets them shine. And so I would just say, go be light for those kids. Because they will be light for you and it will make this whole world a much better place.
Is that already a song?
I'm sure people have written it, yeah.
The fish don't know their, birds don't know their.
I think that's been written somewhere.
Okay.
I'm probably stealing that line from someone.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
You should write it in A sharp.
There you go. Zebra don't know they're striped. I'll write a new version. We'll do something.
I don't know. When I work with kids, I just tell them, you know, be yourself. You know, don't try to act like that jerk over there. Or to, you know, always try to make them realize, you know, who they really are. It's pretty similar to what you're talking about, but just be yourself. You know, just find yourself. Who are you? You know, you're not like that. Don't be like that. Don't follow those bad examples over there and all that stuff. But the way to do it is just find yourself. You know, look inside. Who are you? And you can't be any better than that. And that's about it. You know, I mean, it's not. There's so many different kids that I've worked with in all kinds of experiences. That's it's kind of a hard question to answer, you know, because it's always different, you know. But as far as people developing and not following bad examples, that's probably the best example I do, especially with youngsters.
About to wrap up. I'm sorry.
No.
I have a hip hop specific question.
Your question.
My name is Dr. Shayla Austin, resident Louisiana native hip hop head. My question. Earlier, Bavu, you alluded to the fact that for the first time in however many years, there's no hip hop being represented in a Billboard Top 40. I recognize that the Billboard Top 40 is not necessarily an accurate depiction of what's hot. However, I'm curious to know what y'all think, like, hot take, what's going on? Like, what is that? Is that hip hop going back underground? Is that, like, what's going on there? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts.
You want to go first?
Taylor Swift. And.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's a lot to do with it. Just musical taste for the general public. You got to remember, this is mainstream, right? You just said you're a hip hop head, so you're not going to stop listening to anything hip hop just because it's not in the top 40, right? So hip hop heads are still listening to whatever. Like, So the top 40 that's why the top 40 doesn't matter I don't care what the mainstream public is listening to. I'm listening to who I'm listening to, right? The new Reuben Vincent and Ninth Wonder.
Yeah.
Check that out when you get a chance.
Yeah.
Right? You heard it already?
Yeah.
Like we can have those conversations, right? And that's just the realities of life. And then the pendulum will swing, and then hip hop will be back in the top 40 again, and then it'll swing back, and it won't. It's just a part of the game.
For what it's worth, I'm not mad at it. I was just curious.
Yeah. Nah, no doubt.
tell.
Good question.
Anything to add to that? Taylor Swift.
I think I would just mention that, all of this stuff, I mean, whether it's Billboard, whether it's whatever social media you're watching, whether it's, stuff going on here at the library, whatever, it's all, there's gatekeepers everywhere. And so it's kind of like, when you step back and you're like, why do I trust that thing? And what's behind the number there? I think you start to find it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's money, it's power, it's control.
Yeah.
And often white.
Usually.
Usual.
Typically.
Typical, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Other questions?
More questions? It's a good question. We need to be talking about how Odyssey's not in the top 40.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all don't jam Odyssey, I can tell.
Oh.
Maybe if all of y'all went home and streamed some Odyssey, he would be on the top 40.
We'll tell them, because if they look up Odyssey, they might find the group from the 70s, the disco group. So you got to tell them who Odyssey is.
Oh, Odyssey from Washington, D.C.,
Yeah, from D.C.
Maryland, Virginia, Oddisee.
Mm-hmm.
It goes great with some J. Rawls. Yeah, it blends right in.
I do have an Instagram too. Yeah. They don't love me. See how they do me? But it's at JRawls82 if y'all care.
J. Rawls 82?
Yeah, see? Easy.
Any other questions? Big Doug, any come on.
We got one. All right.
Thank you, ladies. Ladies are asking questions.
That's right.
Ladies always represent.
Ladies first.
Hi, my name's Tamara. Austin native. So my art of choice is fashion. That's what I'm really passionate about. And I kind of see, the artist has the brush, writers have their pen, musicians have their mic, and I'm kind of curious what the impact of what you wear, how that kind of contributes to the art and how it's actually really put into the world. Because for me, as a creative, I think that what you put on is really the first thing that people see. It's kind of off the bat that will kind of show someone who you are and what the impact is when someone walks into a room. I like this idea of quiet confidence, where you can make an impact with not always saying something, sometimes what you wear. So I'm interested in, when it comes to going around the world, how people dress and how they kind of represent themselves on stage with their garments. How important is that into also the message that's trying to be presented?
You know the answer to that. You already know the answer to that. You know that that's everything. How you look and how you present yourself is how you feel, right? It's part of the same reason I go and do speeches and keynotes all over the world, and I got on some Jordan 3s, because that represents who I am, right? It's that whole idea of you represent yourself, because it is the first thing that people see about you. And when they look, they say, I see that. So, great question, but Yeah. Especially if you're into fashion.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I think one thing that for me has come to, I spent a lot of time at the Capitol, kind of this summer, more time than I had spent at the Capitol, actually going down in Texas, yeah. Just being there, so many trans bathroom hearings and stuff, and it's like, I wasn't going, I was like, I was in line to get into the room and to one of the hearings, and there was a New York Times reporter, and she was asking us, she was like, why are you here? And it really made me think. I was like, why am I here? Because I actually don't believe that they're listening to us. I don't believe they're not gonna do what they're already gonna do. Why am I here? And I was like, because at the end of the day, I can go be a body in the way. I can be a voice. and I could be a literal physical impediment to what they're trying to do. And so part of your question, I don't even know where you went. Part of your question, I mean, that's why I'm wearing this shirt tonight. Because I know people are going to be looking at me, and I'm on stage. And guess what? I can use my body as a billboard. Because all of our liberation is tied together. I'm so glad that the SCOTUS, decided not to overturn gay marriage so that my marriage is still intact. But guess what? Trans kids are still getting attacked. Trans people in this country and immigrants are enemies number one. Crazy. What are we doing about it? And until Palestine's free, none of us are free. Exactly. It's all tied together, all of it. And so I love that question. I think it's beautiful. And it's taken me a while to understand the power of fashion, and that sometimes it's a message, sometimes it's just literally having nice glasses on. It's crazy walking into a room, people are like, hey, I like your glasses. And immediately connection, boom, you're there. Mm-hmm. I just came back from the Latin Grammys. It's like when you dress to the nines, people look at you different. And there's an immediate you're like, yeah, I see you. Okay. Where's my people at? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mullet, queer, let's go. Whatever. So there's a lot there for sure.
Well, I think a lot about fashion. I really takes a while to get out of the house, But here I am. I made it anyway.
Well, we have a powerful singer-songwriter, we have a powerful muralist, we have a professor / DJ / producer. I'm gonna give y'all one last chance to ask a really good question, because we also have this Grammy hip hop mixtape exhibit. I believe there are refreshments waiting for you and me too. Any other questions?
Yeah, we got one.
Oh, Audrey, okay.
Just listening to the panel, I've been thinking a lot about Black and Latinx solidarity, and I'm wondering what we can do as leaders in community to continue fostering that.
You want to start?
Yeah,
It was real. We're all quiet. It was really good.
Show up for each other. You know what I mean? I think that's part of it, is even, because I think it does make me think about the queer community, that it's like, it can feel, even within the queer community, it can feel very divided on, it's like, again, we're celebrating an actual win that came down from the Supreme Court, which I was not expecting. And at the same time, are we really holding what's happening to our trans community? Are we really, getting out there and doing something? Is there solidarity there? And so I think it's even more divided when we're talking about Latinos and Black people, and the idea that, white supremacy has sold us this go fight amongst each other while we're in our, it's like they're in a huge yacht and we're all on, little tugboats fighting over who actually gets some space. And so we think the enemy is down here when they're just up there riding high. And the idea is like, man, we are so much more powerful together. And so what does it look like for us to show up for each other? So much more alive.
Yeah. I mean, and that's basically, that answer right there, right? But just talk about it. Like, don't be silent. That's something that I run into. Just having conversations and just keep building on it. Just like I hate to I'm getting political, you're gonna have to stop me, but the Epstein survivors, they just kept beating, kept saying, and then here we are today, right? So we just gotta keep talking.
That thing about Black and brown divided, we know it, everybody knows it, that's how they keep us divided and fighting each other, and that's why they don't teach us or let us learn our history and what really happened here back when Mexicans and Blacks first met here. There was actually, a lot of positive things happened, and slavery was illegal, by the way, here in Texas when we ruled it. And so anyway, and then when that happened, that changed. Mexicans were helping black people cross the border, and there was a lot of people in Mexico a lot of settlements that are black, all the way to Oaxaca and along the border and stuff, Musquis and places like that. And it was all with the cooperation, you know. And so anyway, there's a history there, a positive history that we should know about.
And finally, y'all don't jam enough third root. There's a group from Texas designed to specifically teach you about black and brown overlap in music, in culture, in history. It's a Dr. Marco Cervantes from UTSA is the founder of the group. He's over Mexican American Studies at UTSA. If you would just listen to more third root, black and brown solidarity would be through the roof by tomorrow. Nah, I'm kind of joking, but I did want to, on the tail end of it, just say, you know, also we need to understand how black brown is.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
I was going to let's keep this conversation going. This is amazing. I wanted to personally, on behalf of everyone, thank you for this incredible conversation. Many thanks to Bavu, Gina, Raúl, and Jason. And we now invite you to the third floor. Let's keep the conversation going. We have reception and after-hours access to Hip Hop America, the Mixtape Exhibit. The store at LBJ is open late this evening, and DJ Abe, the ambassador, is providing music. So let's go downstairs. Let's have some more conversation. And if you want to join the LBJ forum, there'll be opportunities for you downstairs. Let's have one more applause for this incredible panel. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember that 2 years ago, but I don't know if I got it. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah.